leadership. So there's plenty to get to, but first, a special moment in Little Village that just wrapped up, a rally to celebrate resilience called Faithful Fridays. I want to bring in Reverend Sierra Bates Chamberlain, the executive director at Live Free Illinois, that sponsored this, to talk about the event today and the motive behind it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. First and foremost, for those of us who weren't there, just describe the event today.
Sure. Faith Over Fear is co-convened by Live Free Illinois. We co-convened it with Iman and with New Life Centers, led by Rami Nashashibi and Matt Mateo. And Faith Over Fear was organized so that we can pull the faith communities together across faith traditions. So it's a multi-faith coalition. And we organize to fight back against the tactics and policies, and specifically around immigration and other policies that have harmed Black and Brown communities. And we were out in Little Village because we know that this is one of the communities that was heavily impacted by ICE.
Yeah. So you all get together. Do you pray? Do you pass out leaflets? What do you do?
Sure. So we absolutely pray, but not only do we pray, we meet every week or every Wednesday morning. We pray and we strategize. So our purpose is to put our faith in action. So of course we are centered in prayer, but however, we are out organizing, lifting up our voices. We've organized rallies and protests. Many of our partners are out providing mutual aid. Many are responding to when the SNAP was being revoked. People are out feeding people. People are advocating and making sure that we're able to do what we can on the state side, but also continuing to lift up our voices and organizing and demanding that we have health care, food, housing, and other vital benefits that we know that our people need to survive in this country.
You all are doing a lot of work. Tell me, you mentioned the importance of being there in Little Village. How have things changed since the federal raids kind of eased up in our area?
Our communities were already working and advocating so that we can make sure that we have safe communities for our people, especially a lot of marginalized communities. And so for this administration, under, the idea of public safety, to come into communities who are already working to provide for their families and to create such chaos. I mean, as we know, there have literally been people or ICE agents and other federal agents who are kidnapping people off the streets. So as they are penning other harmful policies around housing and SNAP, then people are also dealing with the added layer of being afraid to come outside. And it just isn't people who may not be documented. There are also people who are documented or undocumented who are terrified because this administration has deemed that if you are a brown person, then they believe they have the right to terrorize and harass people. So it just has created such a disruption in communities across Chicago, whether it's in Little Village or in South Shore. So many communities have been devastated and fearful, and this is why it's so important for Faith Over Fear to step in, because we believe that as we continue to organize and speak out as a community, that our faith is stronger than the fear that this government can try to impute in our communities.
Are you starting to see more people kind of breathe a sigh of relief and come back out? Maybe some restaurants that didn't have as many patrons that are starting to see more people again?
Well, hopefully people are beginning to tip out, but as we know, there's still a bit of hesitancy. Even as we were out in Little Village today, we got word that ICE was out at the Home Depot on 31st Street. So there are people who are still on edge because although we know that they pulled out for right now, We know that ICE is still out. They're still patrolling, and so a lot of people don't necessarily feel safe. But this is why it's important that we support Black and Brown businesses, and that's what we're doing today. I'm actually right now at a restaurant in Little Village, and we're supporting with our team, and we're also meeting some of our neighbors that we don't typically get to greet.
Yeah. So, the Trump administration said that they were going after the worst of the worst. And yes, that they weren't going to be finished in Chicago, even if things weren't as intense as what we saw in, say, September and October. What was your greatest fear at the height of the tension?
Well, for me, personally, my fear at the in the moment, it wasn't just the threat of ICE, it was also the threat of the National Guard. And when we hear National Guard to address violence in Chicago, we know that when we're speaking about gun violence and you thinking about the National Guard, that was code word for an attack on Black communities. And so a lot of my fear was not only what we have to deal with immigration, but then we will also have to deal with the National Guard attacking Black communities while also working to fight against and bring awareness to many of the policies that this administration is putting in place, whether it was the big bad bill, whether it's stripping SNAP and other things that they're doing simultaneously as they're literally terrorizing people.
Little Village is such a huge economic driver for the city. We've heard that over and over again. Do you have a concern that communities, Black and Brown communities, that were really targeted primarily during Operation Midway Blitz will have a tough time coming back after it?
I mean, yes, it's a hurdle, but I think that we can overcome it by organizing and doing things that we did today. And this is why it's so important that we show up for our neighbors and we show up in community and support these businesses. Because ironically, as the administration talked about going after the worst of the worst or trying to improve public safety by these tactics and this terror that he's brought into our communities actually has an adverse impact because he's literally harming businesses. And we know that a part of public safety is about having thriving businesses and community. So yes, if we don't organize, if we don't support the businesses, if we don't make sure that we support, it could have a devastating impact. However, I am confident in the way that communities have showed up and the way that Faith Over Fear have showed up, that we will support our businesses and make sure that we're thriving.
Well, they certainly need all the help that they can get. How do you feel watching other communities now in other states go through things like what we saw here during the height of Operation Midway Blitz?
I mean, it's devastating. We're here in 2025, and some of the policies or the actions are really unbelievable that this is what we're experiencing from the United States government. So my heart goes out to every person who is living in fear or terror, to every community that's experiencing this. However, I am hopeful because there are so many communities who are literally fighting back and not taking or laying down to this government, and we're fighting back. I have a lot of comrades and colleagues across the country who are organizing and doing what we need to do to educate people and to amplify what we're working on, but then to also change the narrative, because one thing that this government has tried to do is put out this narrative that would divide Black and Brown communities, but people are standing united, and that is what brings me hope.
How long do you think you all will continue to meet? I mean, these are the Faithful Fridays. Obviously, when Operation Midway Blitz started, you didn't need a coat. We're getting into colder temperatures. Things are changing. But how long do you think you all will continue with the Faithful Fridays?
As long as this administration is in place, we'll have Faithful Fridays because, again, this is not just about immigration. This is about the fact that this administration is literally trying to destroy the fabric of our democracy and destroy the government as we know now. So we will continue to fight and organize and pull together as a multi-faith coalition. So we're here to stay. So we'll be out here next year, and as long as this administration is in office, we'll be meeting.
What do you think that communities like Little Village, where you are today, and organizations like yours have learned through Operation Midway Blitz? I mean, I kind of live by the feeling, and I was just saying this to a mentee of mine last night, that even the worst of things that we endure in life, there is a lesson in them. There are things that we can take from them moving forward. What are some of those lessons for you, your organization, or that you see for communities moving forward?
So one, we continue to see the power of organizing. And what we are doing is we're building community and we're organizing. So there's no shortcut around making sure that we organize and we build power because the power always lies within the people. I think the other lessons is just reinforcing the strength of people coming together across differences. Again, we are a multi-faith coalition. You have Jewish, Christians, Muslims, First Nation. You have so many faiths that are coming together, and we are stronger together. I think the other piece is that there are already so many different frameworks that we can pull from, so we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We literally just had to work together. So it just reinforces the lessons that we've gathered from this is reinforcing the power of community, the power of the people, and the power of collaboration.
I think that's a beautiful way to end our conversation, on the note that we are stronger together. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you take care. Have a great weekend.
So thanks.
It's 1:13, everyone. Let's take a quick break. Welcome back, everyone. It's 1:16 right now, and the Woodridge Police Department recently closed a retail theft investigation, recovering $1,000 worth of Lego sets. What they have done since is truly heartwarming to see. I want to go ahead and bring in Police Chief Tom Stefanson to talk a little bit more about it. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, describe what was recovered and how.
So what was recovered was seven larger sets of boxed Legos with various themes, Harry Potter themes, some nautical themes, and they were recovered during an investigation conducted by Woodridge Detective John Phelps. This was a complaint that started last January and involved area Target stores in Chicago. Through John's thorough investigation, we were able to recover some of these property, and as the case was closed out by the court gave us the possession of the recovered Lego sets with the caveat that we donate them to a children's charity.
Oh, wow. So I want to get to several aspects of things that you
Sure.
said there. One, we said close the investigation. Does that mean that someone is facing some charges here? Like, where does the investigation stand, or the process of the judicial process stand?
Sure. So the suspect was charged and has subsequently been found guilty of retail theft. And so that case, this was kind of the part of the sentencing for the case, along with a small amount of jail time and some probation. The Lego sets being awarded to us was part of the sentencing.
Gotcha. Okay, so where would the goods from an operation like this typically go?
Typically, I think they just kind of either maybe go back to the victim, or if there is no victim to give them back to, a lot of times they're just destroyed.
Wow. Well, good thing that these toys were not destroyed and they can go to good use.
Right.
What was that convo like with the judge? I mean, you all are not new to giving away toys, so it kind of fit in perfectly with what you all already do.
Right. So it wasn't even a conversation with the judge. We got the sentencing order. The sets were turned over to us, and as our village yearly collects toys for tots. We do that this time of year, and it just seemed like a natural fit for us to donate these sets to our local Toys for Tots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many kids do you think you all will be able to help?
Well, we'll do we have donation boxes at various locations in town. So, I mean, beyond the seven sets that will go to other kids, I think our efforts should be able to help dozens of kids in the Woodridge and DuPage County area. Hopefully more.
And how, just we have a lot of people around here, of course, that love true crime and things like that. So how do you, because it's closed now, can you even tell us, like, how do you track something like this?
So just through really good thorough detective work, John was able to obtain photos of the suspect. Detective Phelps was able to obtain photos of the suspect, put that out as a crime bulletin to area departments, and we also received other bulletins regarding the same individual. And just through some legwork, John was able to get a positive identification of the person through not only the pictures of the suspect, but also pictures of a license plate. John was able to track down a car and tie that to the suspect, and then attempted to interview the suspect. It declined, to speak with us, but then John was able to obtain a warrant for him and get the case successfully prosecuted.
Mm-hmm. And it's so rare that we hear of an outcome like this in terms of being able to turn around something bad into something this good, helping kids in the community. Right. What impact did that have on you and your department?
Oh, it's a great feeling for us to not only close out and give the crime victim closure that the case was prosecuted, but then there's tough times right now. A lot of people are trying to do more with less, and for us to be able to help a local family have a better holiday season, or a young child in our community have a better holiday season, that really is, it's a positive thing, because, not every day ends positively, but this is a positive story for us. It's a positive feeling for us in our community, and we're very excited that we were able to do it.
Yeah, I think we all take, these moments where we can have a positive story, and you want to have as
Right.
many of them as possible. So, as I understand it, you all are still accepting donations for the Toys for Tots campaign through December 12th. So, tell me a little bit about where
Yes.
people need to go, where the drop-offs are happening, and when they'll go out to local kids.
Sure. So our drop-off locations are the Woodridge Village Hall at 5 Plaza Drive, the Woodridge Police Department at 7215 Janes Avenue, and we will be happy to collect as many toys as people are willing to give on December 12th, and then on December 12th we contact our local representative from Toys for Tots, and they work to distribute those toys throughout the DuPage County area. There's drop-offs all over DuPage County. I can only speak to the ones in Woodridge.
Are there some things that are needed more right now, or some things that that they kind of need but rarely get?
I think what they're looking for is anything that generous people are willing to give. They just require that they be new toys still in the packaging. They don't accept used toys. They ask for it to be a new toy in the packaging, and whatever generosity people are willing to show is what they're looking for.
And on the flip side, yeah, are there any other things that are kind of off limits that you shouldn't bring?
They just want toys only. Like if your people are willing to donate clothing or food, there's other entities in the area, like our Woodridge Community Pantry would be willing to take food donations. And as far as warm clothing, there's other charities out there that would be a more appropriate place to take that to.
Yeah, well, it's so wonderful to be able to, impart this story on everyone. Thank you so much for sharing it with us and taking time today to chat with me for a bit about it.
No problem. Thank you for sharing the story. Really appreciate it.
You take care. Thank you so much for your sacrifice on a regular basis.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
All right, you too. It's about 1:24 right now, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's 1:28 right now, and oh boy, I'm still over here kind of on the side watching a little bit of the draw for the FIFA World Cup. It's so exciting, and the fact that the U.S. is one of 3 hosts, I mean, there's going to be so many storylines here from what's taking place. I saw that they have just lined up the USA's opening match, and so we've brought in someone who knows the FIFA World Cup very well, the Chicago Fire head coach, Greg Berhalter. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Great to see you as well. So first and foremost, how closely have you been monitoring things today?
Oh, I was all over it. Watching the draw was exciting. You can see the look on all the coaches' faces that they're showing in the crowd, and they're super excited, ready for the World Cup to take place.
Yeah, I likened it to like the draft for the NBA or the NFL. When you're watching those moments and it looks, when they're on the clock and it looks like they're, so tense for a second, and then there's the celebration afterwards. So what do you think about the USA's opening match opponent?
So I think by and large it's a favorable group, but a very well balanced group. It's going to be difficult. Everyone can beat everyone in the entire group. So I think it's going to come down to the last game. But for the U.S., they can clearly beat every team in the group. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Tell me about this particular team. Like, what makes you excited about them?
So, when you think about the last World Cup, 25 players on the roster hadn't been to the World Cup before. Going into this World Cup, we could expect 17 or 18 guys to be returning World Cup veterans. And that experience goes a long way in the World Cup. The games are so tense. There's so much pressure behind it. You need some experience to carry you through.
Speaking of experience, is it true that you are the first person in the United States history to participate in the FIFA World Cup as both a player and a head coach?
Yeah, that happens to be true. Yep.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the FIFA World Cup.
As a player, it's really incredible because you get there, a good time before the World Cup, and you begin your preparation, and then you go through this whole tournament and you see how it's evolving and how, your team is performing. And, in 2002, we went to the quarterfinals, eventually lost to Germany, but it's the farthest the team has gone in the recent era. So it really, we felt the vibe, we felt the wave behind us in the United States. As a coach, it's a little bit different because now you're trying to set up the environment, you're trying to put players in position, you're trying to get the team all on the same page and ready to go take on the world. So, they're 2 completely different responsibilities.
Yeah, and how hard is that, getting all the players on the same page? Again, I'm just taking from what I watch in other sports, and I think about like bringing together the basketball team that goes to the Olympics, and they're all superstars, and trying to get them to like work together as a team when they've been playing against each other with other teams is a bit of a task.
You're exactly right. But if you saw the draw today, if you watched any of it, you could see the people that are associated with the World Cup. It is such a big deal. Any player would kill to play in the World Cup. It means that much to players. So, you get their full attention when you bring them into camp. When you make the World Cup team, it's such an honor and such a blessing that everyone's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the USA, being one of the host nations, adds to this experience that these players will have?
Well, we're going to have this wave behind us. And it's going to create a huge amount of momentum. I think when you look at this group stage, I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to get out of the group. And then once you get into the knockout stage, when you have the crowd behind you, this momentum behind you, who knows what can happen? We can go on a special run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What concerns you?
Well, like I said, it's the intensity of the World Cup. It's not just for the home team, right? It's for every team. This is their chance. This is their opportunity to make a mark. And, we know the teams in our group, maybe they're not traditional soccer powers, but they're going to want to come and they're going to want to make a mark at the World Cup. And that's something we need to be cautious for.
Okay, so if we look back in history, who are typically the teams to beat?
Yep. So in history will tell you that Argentina, Brazil, Germany, France, Spain, those are the top teams. England, perhaps, but when the five teams I first mentioned, they generally competing to win each World Cup.
Yeah. And what does it take for the U.S. to get to that level?
Yeah. So, we're hoping that the momentum of this World Cup is going to create excitement all around the United States that, each and every boy and girl growing up want to play the sport of soccer. Right now, we still need to increase our participation at the lower levels, get kids interested in the game at a young age. It's a very difficult sport to play. You're doing everything with your feet. We can't forget that. So you need really a lot of time to develop your skills. And we just need more players playing the game. And when we can do that, when it becomes part of our culture, we'll get to that level.
I feel like around the time that there was more discussion about concussions, quite honestly, for football, you did see more parents kind of turning to soccer. What do you tell parents, guardians about getting their kids involved? Like, how do you convince them to get their kids involved in soccer?
Well, the first thing is it's a global game. So if you excel at it, you have so many opportunities to become a professional. There's leagues in the United States, but there's also leagues all around the world. If you think about the NBA, it's the best league in basketball by far. NFL, there's only really one professional football league in the world, or maybe two. But soccer, you have a number of different outlets. The other thing about it, it's such a complex game. It keeps you physically fit and in top condition, but also keeps your mind. It's such a complex game that, you need a lot of mental awareness to play the game.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk specifically about the Fire. Let's talk about, okay, so you made it to the playoffs last season. What is the expectation for the upcoming season?
So for us, it's about continuing to improve, continuing to engage the city, get the city of Chicago behind us. It's a wonderful city with such a diverse population. We need that fan support behind us. As I was mentioning, the momentum that fans create at the World Cup, well, we can use that momentum as well. And then it's just about keep improving. We want to start competing for championships. We did that this year by making the playoffs, but that's just the first step. We want to go on and keep pushing.
And you're looking at a new era with a stadium being approved. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. To have a soccer-specific stadium in the heart of downtown Chicago is a game changer. When we're trying to recruit top-level players, when they see our facilities, our training facility, and now the stadium, it's a real easy sell to come to the great city of Chicago.
Do you think that the World Cup will help generate more interest in your team too?
I think it will. We're going to do a fan fest in the city of Chicago. We hope all the fans will come out and join us and watch the World Cup. I'll be out there and talking to the fans. So we want to use the World Cup to also create momentum for Chicago Fire. We play a game actually during the World Cup. July 16th is our opening game after the break, and that's going to be right before the final. So we expect people to come out and really get a sold-out Soldier Field for that game.
Oh, awesome. And when is the Fan Fest?
Yeah. So we're going to be doing that all throughout the World Cup. And that's going to be exciting, a gathering spot for all fans to come and watch any game, not just a U.S. game. A real, I think, sort of like one of the Christmas markets they have around Chicago, but for soccer.
Super cool. Super cool. When you look back on your career, what were the highlights? I mean, clearly the World Cup had to be, but what were some of the highlights for you?
I was lucky enough to play in England, Holland, Germany, finish my career in the United States. And it's really about the experience that soccer gives you. When you're playing in amazing stadiums in front of a lot of fans and playing in these huge international events, you really understand how special soccer is in the world and the place it holds in people's heart and the passion that's behind the game.
And when you look back on those things, how much do you think the game has changed? I mean, soccer seems like, okay, it's a fundamental kind of skills type of game, but how much has it changed in years?
Yeah, I think like every sport, it's definitely sped up. It's definitely gotten faster, right? We have better athletes playing now. The game is played at such a high pace. So that's one of the changes, and you can see just the skill level of players. Back in the day, maybe you had one player that really stood out from the rest, but now there's so many talented players, and it's getting younger. There's a player from Spain, Yamin Lamal, who's 17 years old, and he's one of the top players in the whole world.
I think I saw a special about him just the other day. It
Yeah,
is pretty amazing. When you not just think about like the skills speeding up, but somebody who's 17 being able to take on, like you said, walking into that stadium of all of these people, these thousands, tens of thousands of people.
It's incredible. He's playing in front of hundreds, 100,000 people at times, and able to ignite the crowd, able to really make a difference in the game at that young of an age.
Yeah, and it speaks again to the growth of the game over time. What are some of your hopes moving forward for the game?
So, I first of all, I hope that the U.S. goes on and has a memorable run at the World Cup. There's nothing more that can help the game of soccer than the U.S. going far in the World Cup. But also, I think just people appreciating, what the game brings and the passion behind the game in this World Cup. We're going to get to see such a diverse population come to the United States and support their team. This is the first time there's 48 countries in the World Cup, and to have that much diversity and that many different backgrounds coming and celebrating the sport of soccer is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, they have sped up the visa process to get more people here, more spectators here for it as well. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That there will be such a diverse crowd for it. When you think about it too, economically, what kind of driver will this be?
It's going to make a huge impact economically from the tourists coming in, from the money that's spent around the games, around the cities that are hosting, even the cities that aren't hosting. We're going to see an influx of people coming to this country, really giving the country an economic boost.
Okay, now thinking about it too, if we're getting ready to be spectators, what should we expect?
Yeah. So first of all, I would get behind a team. That would be the first thing, right? It's a group stage, then a bracket format, and it's really getting behind your team and really cheering them on all the way. For you're going to support the United States, right?
Right.
Yep. So get behind the U.S., get your flags, get your gear, create watch parties. You go down to our watch party in downtown Chicago and just enjoy it. Enjoy the celebration, because that's what the World Cup is, a celebration of soccer.
This is so cool. I'm getting excited with everything. Now, were there any surprises to you thus far in the draw?
I think it was a little bit clunky how they had to keep moving teams around because they're setting up the groups in a way that they don't want to overload them with one continent in each group. So I think that was a little bit challenging. But in the end, we got to a good spot, and now it's every team knows their pathway, and it's time to go.
Every team knows their pathway.
Yep.
And hopefully the U.S. has success. Thank you so much for joining. It's certainly an honor to be able to chat with you today. We're going to have you back once it starts.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. Take care. 1:42, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's just about 1:45 right now, and there is major talk today about a federal vaccine advisory committee voting to end the longstanding recommendation that all babies born in the U.S. must get a hepatitis B vaccine on the day that they are born. Dr. David Nguyen is a pediatric and adult infectious disease physician who is joining me now to talk more about the new recommendations here and just kind of the overall confusion, quite honestly, that a lot of parents are going through right now.
Yes, you use. Thanks for having me, by the way. You used the perfect word there, confusion, and that is a really big concern of mine with this committee's recommendation, which is not based in any kind of evidence, nor is it even centered around a real clinical question, which is usually how these are supposed to go. It's simply put out there and not based in any evidence, and I think tragically harmed the legitimacy, I think, of recommendations that come out of this committee.
What is the importance of the hepatitis B vaccine at that stage of life specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is one I love answering because this committee and the folks who want to change the vaccine schedules like this are all they always say that they want parents to have all the information. Well, I'm going to give you the information right now. Hepatitis B is a very contagious disease. It's a viral infection. For if an older kid or you or I were to be infected, we may do okay with it. And it's while still very infectious, we may survive with it all right. But a baby in the newborn period, and very young, first couple months of life, 90 to 100% chance they will go on to have an infection, which can lead to liver failure, liver cancer, and possibly even death.
So they recommend that the birth dose will only be for babies whose mothers test positive and in cases where the mom wasn't tested. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to me, that is that's playing with fire, basically. And what I like to say about that is, if you're preventing a fire for your home, if you want to prevent fires for your home, you wouldn't rely on just one fire extinguisher. You would make sure that you've got fire alarms, fireproof things that are necessary, remove hazards from around your home, things like that. And to me, just limiting the vaccination to those situations, like you said, it's going to miss cases of, while rare, I will admit that rare, but highly consequential, as I just outlined, if a baby gets hepatitis B, again, resulting in liver failure, cancer, and potentially death, usually before the ages of 8 to 10.
Is this the first time that this vaccine has been questioned to this level?
It's the first time it's been questioned like this, which is, as I said, isn't really centered around a clinical question. And it seems to be more motivated by someone trying to set an agenda to fit what they don't think is necessary for protecting children. But the first time to go back in the history of things, before we had this recommendation, they created the hepatitis B vaccine and did try and start only vaccinating people that they thought were at risk, and mostly adults. And the important thing of that, they gave it a solid 10 years or so, and the CDC is. And the incidence of hepatitis B in this country did not change, and most importantly, it wasn't moving the needle on the number of children with hepatitis B. And as I already outlined, why that's so important and morbid and fatal for that population. So, at some time during that point, they did institute the universal screening of pregnant women, and then a few years after that, they recommended the universal newborn hepatitis B vaccine. And since that recommendation, it's virtually unseen through most of the population. in children.
Sort of like a few other things that we've recently had a reversal on, that had essentially eradicated some things that we're now starting to see in communities.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you might be alluding to the measles
Correct.
of recently. Yes.
Correct.
So, yeah, that's another tragedy. Measles had what we call an elimination status about 20 or so years ago, and what that means is that that you don't have within country endemic spread for a certain amount of time of that disease. And so, like, since that declaration, most of the measles cases in the United States have been linked to a transmission of measles from people coming from areas with measles, like in outside the United States, including Europe. But as we have seen tragically, there's been the largest outbreak of measles in this country, mostly in Texas and New Mexico, and I mean, then that's gonna our elimination status will be threatened for that, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we lose that.
So, in their, it seems as though from this advisory panel, their outlook on it is to give parents the power to choose. Similar to like measles, many of the communities where we saw measles outbreaks in the last several months have been very religious communities that are against these types of vaccines.
Yeah. Well, to that I say, if they really wanted to let parents choose, then they would have it be available, and continue to let them speak with physicians. Physicians are going to always talk about, especially pediatricians are always going to talk with families about vaccines, and should welcome if there are any questions. We want people to be on board and understanding why this is important, and we can provide that information. We have been providing that information to families. I've been doing it my entire career, and they say that they want it, to empower families, and give them more information and more freedom. But what I see is seems like it's going to have the opposite effect. And for right now, there may not be any issues with access to the vaccines, but when when regulators, insurance companies, people look at what are we going to stock, what are we going to cover, they may cite faulty recommendations like these to not do and take these measures to help protect children.
Yeah,
and
I guess
so that therefore limits access and freedom to make those choices.
Yeah, that was a similar conversation the last time there was a reversal that, okay, well, I mean, even if you say you're leaving it up to parents, well, health insurance companies kind of come behind and say, well, if it's not mandatory, then we don't have to cover it.
And I mean, to my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet, and I hope it stays that way. And I know a lot of states, including Illinois, are taking steps to ensure that that there are something that says that we follow the evidence to support that these are important measures to protect children. These vaccines, including the hepatitis B vaccine at birth. And but it's creating confusion, like we started off at the beginning of our conversation. Those mixed messages. It's just really tragic to see that kind of confusion be sown there.
Yeah, and of course the CDC currently has no director because the acting director left already, and then Health and Human Services Secretary Kennedy fired the entire 17-member panel earlier this year and replaced it with a group that it does include several anti-vaccine voices. It is a challenging time, but I hope that you continue to advise your patients in the best way possible. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. My commitment will always be to patients and their health, the health of children, as I know that is definitely the commitment of my colleagues at Rush and all over the country, really. It is challenging, but we're going to keep working for our patients and our families.
Dr. Nguyen, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, about 1:55 right now. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's 1:58 right now. If you were with us just moments ago before we went to the break, we were speaking with a pediatric and adult infectious disease physician from Rush. That big meeting where the breaking news of today came from about that vote to end the recommendation for babies in the U.S. To get the hepatitis B vaccine on the day that they're born is still ongoing. It is the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices for the CDC. We're just going to listen into this for just a bit.
Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, the Childhood and Adolescent Immunization Schedule, Human Papillomavirus, and Vaccinations During Pregnancy Work Groups. Today, I will be giving a very brief presentation on adjuvants, specifically aluminum-based adjuvants. A little background, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the background rationale for this presentation. During our childhood immunization schedule work group research on the birth dose of hepatitis B vaccination, studies and a discussion arose regarding aluminum adjuvants. We wanted to spend more time on the topic, but quickly realized that it was beyond the scope of the work of the work group. So furthermore, the topic of adjuvants is germane to most ACIP work groups, given that most deal with adjuvanted vaccines. The topic of vaccine adjuvants is extensive and complex, making it challenging for any single work group to conduct a comprehensive evaluation. Therefore, it was proposed that a brief discussion be prepared and presented to the full ACIP committee, with consideration given to establishing a dedicated work group on adjuvants and perhaps other ingredients. Discussion will follow at the end of this presentation, very likely brief discussion, and then we will have more time for discussion in a follow-up meeting after a debrief after this meeting. There will be no vote. So therefore, this presentation will have a twofold objective in alignment with the ACIP Charter, which directs us to provide advice and guidance to the Director of the CDC regarding the use of vaccines and related agents. The initial objective here is for ACIP to consider establishing an adjuvant work group to support the formulation of guidance towards a recommendation. Alternatively, the committee may explore other ways to address this topic along with a broader landscape of vaccine ingredients. The other objective is educational, to help the public better understand the composition of the vaccines that they and their children receive. In this way, hopefully together, along with manufacturers and research scientists, we can achieve the best products and overall outcomes.
Okay, we were just listening into a bit of that again. The breaking news that came from this group of panel members that voted today was that they voted to end the longstanding recommendation that all U.S. babies get the hepatitis B vaccine on the day that they are born. And now we're just starting to hear from other physicians about their thoughts on that, especially pediatricians, about how they will go about advising their patients after the vote that took place today. So we wanted you to hear a bit of their conversation, as there's so much breaking news that's been coming from the gatherings that they have had and the votes that they have been making. Want to change things over, though, to a situation in Aurora, not a situation really, but a moment in Aurora to highlight the greatness of youth. We always appreciate getting a release from Aurora that talks about the great things that are happening in their area, and some public artwork that is on display. Sangeeta Pandey, the project assistant at Aurora Public Art, a curator of this exhibit, is joining me now to talk a little bit more about what they have going on right now.
Well, hello everybody and welcome. We are super excited and stoked today to welcome everybody, all the viewing audiences, to our city, where we're showcasing art from K through 12 for our city youth, and all our schools, local, private, and public schools. All our children's art is being showcased at our public art gallery. And that's at 20 East Downer Place, and it's at the David L. Pierce Center. And we are very excited to speak. This is a testament to the power of youthful expression. Please come and support the youth and really take a look at what, how their creativity is soaring. And it is really also speaking to not just the children, the families, and to the educators. So this is our time to really, really focus on the art education and the innovations that follow in every field, which are dependent on the arts. And I just want to say that we also have a group of musicians coming from Chicago, from Loyola University, and they are called the Butter Chicken Brass Band.
Ooh.
For entertainment. And we also have, in addition, a juggler coming to entertain the children and the families. We are also an inclusive environment as far as, wheelchairs are welcome. We are also welcome service animals. And everyone is absolutely excited in the city. We have Coco Crawl going on this evening, and the show begins at 5 p.m. tonight, and it's going to be lots of programming along with Aurora Police Department. We're having read a book with a cop. We also have our local celebrated teacher, Graham Wilkie, with Aurora Christian High. He's going to be teaching a workshop on drawing. We have our Destiny's Child group coming. They are like Simply Destiny, and they do suicide prevention for the youth. So they are doing a dance. We have photos with Santa. There's constant programming attached to the Winter Garden of Youth, which opens tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone, and there's lots of excitement. We have the marshmallow Coco Crawl mug this year, and we are welcoming everybody to fill your cups with joy and really be part of the excitement that we're offering in the city throughout the holidays.
Filling our cups with joy. I love that. And again, I love how you all are helping these young people to shine. It sounds like a lot of work went into this. Give us a little background to how you pulled this together.
So this is our 27th year celebrating the Winter Garden of Youth exhibit. And this year, our outreach was phenomenal. We made sure that we went to schools, which are 204, obviously our districts, one east and west, and also every school on the boundary and private schools. So I personally drove up to the schools this year and handed the call for the art invite to every school office, and also just the hanging of the show. We have had a lot of submissions. We have over 200 submissions this year. And as far as art expressions, we have watercolors, oil paintings, we have ceramics, we have collages, and it's like a must stop. Like this has to be on your must see. It's a free exhibit, and all the programming that follows is free also. And we are really excited as a team to have everybody come take a look and just really pay attention to what the youth are saying via their art. So
yeah. You mentioned a little bit about the different types of submissions, but tell us more about, you said there were like 200 submissions. What other kinds of art can people expect to see?
So a lot of the art is really, there's a lot of ceramics, which are very fragile, but the youth have really handled it with care. And there's also like oil paintings. There's also a lot of portraiture. There's a lot of snowmen, and there's a lot of winter landscaping. There's a lot of creativity, I would say, and it's like when you start looking from the eyes of a child. So you're going to be seeing flowers, which are just sketched out and colored differently. There are a lot of photographs that the youth are exhibiting in this show. And there's also a lot of landscapes, like a lot of different landscapes which are exhibited. There are also expressions of global awareness in the show, where they're carrying backgrounds from, maybe they're refugees from Ukraine or like different parts of the world, and they're carrying that with them, and they are bringing that out. And that's actually really commendable, because the teachers are able to bring that expression out on paper and canvas, and however these children are actually expressing. So it's absolutely fabulous and to see, and we are really fortunate that we're able to include all these in a show that's actually speaking to such a young audience. And we're really bringing them to the forefront of art. Like, you matter, and what you're saying is important, and let's take a look at what you have to say. So it's very important in these times to pay attention very closely to what the kids are saying.
Yeah, those two words, you matter, mean so much, from youth to adulthood, really. When you see the youth seeing their work on display, what does it mean to them to see that that you matter to someone?
I think they're filled with pride and so much joy. That recognition means so much to them. They're excited. They're like, the excitement is palpable because joy is contagious. So when you look at them and they are pointing out to their work, and last year I had this little kid who was in kindergarten. She couldn't find her little pumpkin that she had made, and it was yay bit, like it was the tiniest speck of a pumpkin, and I knew exactly where it was. So I held her hand and I walked her all around the gallery, which can be a little bit of a intimidating space because when you're a child, these large open spaces with a lot of audiences can be intimidating. So she held on to my finger and we found her pumpkin, voila. So it matters to them to be able to find their work and really show their families, show their friends, like, hey, I was selected in this beautiful show. And every school is able to submit 5 to 7 works. So when you're looking at a school which has a population of 400 children, for example, and there's only 5 works that got selected. So I extended it to 7 this year because I just felt as a curator that I don't want to make it so exclusive where only 5 kids can show their work. What if, because we always feel like, and I love one of the teachers in the schools at Smith Elementary, they have collaborative pieces where they stick in like 5 kids who worked on one piece.
Uh-huh.
So it speaks to, how friendship matters, how collaborative skills really, in real life matter. And as a child, it's so important to learn from your peers, from your friends, and learn to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So that really comes across, and it's just a very positive outreach, and the outcome is just beautiful because the kids are so proud. I mean, to be able to say, hey, I did that, mom, dad, grandma, like whoever they've brought with them, their friends, their neighbors, and everybody's just enjoying and really, really complimenting it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a child, to be able to say that you're actually at a formal art gallery, and this could be one of your future pushes as you're in high school, etc., and going into that arena of the art world where your work really becomes very important.
Yeah, and in over 20 years, I'm sure there are some who, are adults now. And do you find that there are folks who have gone into the arts as a result of moments like this?
Absolutely. We have so many stories from our city where the teacher who had such an impact in those formative years. And we always remember that one teacher who pushed us to our limit and really saw that potential. So this really is also a showcase to the teachers as a whole, where it's not just the children, it's who's behind that and who's really, really bringing forward that art and extracting that from the kids. And as they develop, the teachers sometimes are like, hey, I was part of your Winter Garden of Youth, and now I'm teaching. So it's always a story behind the scenes, where the families have grown, where the siblings are now putting their works up, and some of the parents have also been part of the show, and now they have children of their own and who are showing their works from kindergarten onwards. So it's like a real wholesome experience for families because there's one thing that just brings everybody together. It's the time of the holidays, and we want to be close to our families, and we want to be able to support that expression, just coming from the little kids and then seeing them blossom, and then really rethinking your childhood, like, hey, maybe I I was with the right teacher and I was part of this exhibit, and look at me now. I've really, really grown leaps and bounds, and here I am. So we have artists like Johnny Felix, who are local to our community, whose kids are part of the programming, and they are huge in the art world. So absolutely, there are stories that connect us, that tie the past, our future, and going into 27 years, it's almost coming to 3 decades of this programming in the city of Aurora. So arts matter, public art matters, and our children matter, our families matter. So this is just bringing the whole community together for us and celebrating at such a humble level. The youth are the future, and this is where the push is.
It's truly beautiful. It is really beautiful to see and to be able to highlight. In those years that you've been working on this, is there like a particular artwork that stuck out with you, that has stuck with you over the years? And why, if so?
There are so many special pieces because when you're, curating and you're seeing about 200 to 300 pieces of art, there's always one that humbles you, where you really, really start looking from the eyes of a child, where, they would have, there's like this kid who drew his dad, and it says best dad. So, when you see messages with like little kid pencil drawings and they really put their heart into, they have the best dad. So, like it just is a beautiful statement to the family values and to how the kids are really, really looking up to their parent. So things like that, little messages like that really become endearing. And they are a lesson to us to slow down in life a little bit. Like when you look at the photography, and they've been able to just slow down the role of just a droplet of water. It's like, oh my gosh, they were really, really looking and focusing on something which we miss oftentimes because we're rushing all the time, and that just makes us just take a step back and say, hey, wait a second, let's just take it easy and pay attention to how these little kids are envisioning life, and what the future looks like for them. And there's always like, art is always the backbone of any invention. So these are the little innovators in my mind who are really going to take the future forward, the country, the dynamic forward in a positive light. So I just feel like so many little stories that they construct on paper, on canvas, on with whatever they're doing, their expressions matter. And it's very important to learn from what they're trying to say.
Yeah. Just on a final note here, tell us one more time where we need to go and how long it's going to be around.
All right, this is my favorite part. So we're going to be, this show is on today, December 5th, and it's continuing till January 17th, and that's a Saturday. And throughout the weeks, look out for weekend programming on Fridays and Saturdays. We are inviting a lot of different Winter Garden of Youth related programming, and there's always something going on at the gallery. We are at 20 East Downer Place at the David L. Pierce Center, and the show is on the first floor and the third floor galleries, and this is going to be going to take your winter forward and keep you warm. It's indoor, it's free, and it's always a fun time.
Thank you so much for your dedication to the kids and for sharing this with all of us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a joy, and Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays.
Same to you. Have a great weekend as well. All right, everybody, it's 2:19. We'll be right back. All right, 2:21 right now. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the things that you can expect for the duration of this 2 o'clock hour here that we have on Chicago Live. We are going to bring in Tina Nguyen so that we can talk about the Bears. We know that they're getting ready for a big matchup come this weekend. That's why we're in orange. It's Orange Friday. We know that great things are ahead for us as a Bears team sitting on top of the NFC, and hopefully we can stay there getting ready to go up against the Packers. So we'll give a bit of a preview with Tina. She's going to come up. We're going to talk with Emily about these freezing cold temperatures outside and maybe a bit of a reprieve that might be in our near future. Also, we're bringing in Jake Hamilton, our own Jake Hamilton, on the heels of this news that a major merger, if you will, or really Netflix now buying Warner Brothers. So we want to talk to him about where we go with that and how that kind of changes the landscape of entertainment moving forward. So some great things to come, but we also have to talk about a really hard moment for the city. Chicago is mourning the loss of a very popular DJ. His name was Landon Wallace, but most people knew him as DJ Commando. And so we had to call in someone who knew him well and certainly knows so much about shaping the sound of the city himself. Leon Rogers with WGCI. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
I obviously wish it was under different circumstances. Always love chatting with you, but I've seen so much online about Landon or DJ Commando. Tell me about your connection to him over time.
So my experience with DJ Commando, Landon was just a positive brother. And when I say every time I would see him, it was always smiles and it was laughs. I can remember first trying to get into DJ. I always called him my big little brother because I was older than him, but he had a longer tenure in the DJ game. So when I first started DJing, I would ask him, pick his brain, what equipment should I buy? Should I do this? And he was like, hey man, when you get good enough, maybe I'll come let you play with me one day. And it was always fun and games. He was a man of service. The 100 Black Man Christmas party, I can remember him DJing those, the toy drives. You know, he was heavy on the Chicago nightlife scene, you know, and even down in his family at SIUC, you know, comedians. He's done comedy shows with us, and just a good brother, man. Always smiling, always laughing, always positive. And this really hits the music scene hard because we've had a lot of losses this year on the music scene. DJ Ron Carroll passed. Kevin Ross, who was a super dope A&R, he passed a couple of weeks ago, and now this, and this, everybody's hurting, man. The nightlife scene really took a bump with this one, and we really lost a good brother.
Yeah, and he was young.
Yes, very, very young. I don't even think he had hit the 40 threshold yet, you know. So, like I said, he was my little big brother. He was young far as age, but you know, in the DJ world, he was an accomplished DJ. You know, when you said his name rang bells. When you talked about Chicago DJs, you put his name in the list. And, you know, shout out to our family across the street, Power 92. I said this on the radio today, even though I work for WGCI and those are our competitors. He worked over there, but, you know, that when something like this, none of that matters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These are jobs. And Commando was a very cool dude. My interaction with him was nothing but 100% genuine love. Happy to see you, brother. How you doing? Crack a few jokes and let's party. And it's just sad that that's going to be missing. This is hitting the city just like Timbuktu, DJ Timbuktu, from back in the day, man, when he passed. The city is going to have the effect on the city just like that, man. Yeah. A legend. He was a legend. Commando was a young legend.
Do we know anything about his passing that is confirmed?
No, and you know, quite frankly, to be honest with you, in situations like these, even if I had all of the details, I think it's some things just best left for the family and those that are super closest to him to explain and give to the world. The only thing I want to do is give flowers, which, and I hope this, you know, I hope this, people in the industry, we need to start rocking with each other and asking each other, are we good, or checking on people when we're not outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, we'll see each other in these settings and say hi, but you know, let's man, we don't know how many summers we got left. And this is a prime example of give people their love while they're here, because you never know when your number is called. So, you know, let's love each other, man, because, you know, you never know when it's time to go.
Yeah, and I only asked about that for that particular reason, because I think a lot of people are having a bigger conversation about, like, just checking on your strong friend.
That's it. That's it. I mean, you don't understand how much a hello or how you doing works to a person's soul. And whether they're having troubles or not, it's just us as friends, us as people working in this industry, check on each other. Because again, nobody thought Ron Carroll would not be with us. Nobody thought my man Kevin Ross would not be with us. And definitely 100%, nobody thought that we'd be sitting here talking today about DJ Commando Landon not being here with us at such a young age. I mean, the future was so bright. The man was box office. His smile, you know what I'm saying? I used to always tell him, I used to call him Hollywood, because I said, used to be DJ Hollywood, because his smile was box office, and a good brother. So I'm at a loss for words when I heard the news. I talked about it today on the radio. I mean, he's a man of Alpha Phi Alpha. You know, my brother Zach Bug, who's a co-host with me. Like, a lot of people are hurt, man. A lot of good promoters like Sigma Chris, you know, my guy Tone Capone that works with us. Like, we all knew the brother. Like, everybody had a connection with him. Comedian T Murph he was down at SIU with him. Like, everybody has a connection, their own connection with him. But it just hurts when one of the good ones leaves us so early.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 100 Black Men event. We literally just had them on the show talking about it. It just happened.
It just happened. So I know he used to DJ that a lot. He used to do that stuff like that. He was always involved with. He had his hands with. Like I said, he was a man of service. He was a good brother. I put it like this: in my interactions with him, I never seen him frowned up or angry about anything. Yeah. So I just, it's tough. It's tough. I've never. Every time I saw that young man, smile on his face, happy to be playing music, old soul when it came to playing music, could play any and everything. Just a good brother. He's going to be missed in the city of Chicago. The music scene and the nightlife scene of Chicago took a major loss.
Yeah. Well, you're a good brother, too. Let me say that while you're on the line. And again, we need to get in a habit of saying that more often when we have the time to talk to people. And we certainly appreciate you making time for us today.
Yeah, man. Hold your head, Chicago. Prayers out to his family. Prayers out to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha, his SIUC family. Prayers to all the nightlife family promoters. Anybody that ever came in touch with Landon, man. You guys, you know, let's just start loving on each other, man. Regardless, whether we think happy, sad, in good health, bad health, let's just start loving on each other, man, because we don't know how many summers we have left. We do know how many are behind us, though. And we're losing people at a crazy rate, and it's just sad. Like, you know, so rest in peace, Landon. Rest in eternity, brother. We're going to miss you.
Absolutely. Leon, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you take care. And I do want, before we go to break here, to read the statement from Power 92. It says, Power 92 is mourning the untimely loss of our midday mixer, Landon DJ Commando Wallace. Commando has been a longstanding presence on Power from his early days as a guest mixer to becoming a daily voice on Maha's midday show. A quiet force with a powerful presence. He represented the station with pride at concerts, van hits, club nights, and community events across Chicago. Beginning at 10 a.m. today, Power 92 was airing a special on-air tribute celebrating Commando's life, legacy, and the impact that he made on the city. It says that we are also inviting the community to be a part of this moment. You can call in and share your favorite DJ Commando memories, stories, moments, as Leon was doing, mixes, anything that meant to you, something to you. The number for that is 773-375-9248. Rest in power, Commando. As Leon said, he will certainly be missed. Landon DJ Commando Wallace. We'll be right back. 2:33 right now, and boy, oh boy, a big moment for the entertainment industry as we're hearing that Netflix has just bought Warner Brothers. Who could we call on to talk about this? None other than our own Jake Hamilton. Jake, thank you so much for taking a bit of your time in the afternoon.
Of course, I couldn't miss talking about this. It's good to talk with you.
Okay, so how does this change the landscape? This is a huge merger or a buyout.
Yeah, so this is really seismic. It's a massive deal in Hollywood history. So there has been this bidding war to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, and it looks like Netflix has won, and it will at least start a window of exclusive negotiations for the streamer to actually buy Warner Brothers. Now, that does not mean that the sale is final, but they're this winner of what has been this three-company bidding war, and right now they're the only ones that can talk to Warner Brothers to secure that deal. It is possible that it might end up not happening, and then the bidding process would actually open back up. But Netflix's offer is actually not even for all of Warner Brothers Discovery. They are only interested in the movie studio and HBO Max. The cable networks could and potentially would be bought by someone else.
Very interesting. This is a $72 billion deal. And I'm so glad that you talked about that split between what all comes under Warner Brothers, because it's vast.
It's a lot. And really the big question right now is the impact that this might have on theatrical releases. If they are really only interested in sort of the entertainment part of it, they're not really interested in sort of the cable networks, Discovery Channel, whatever the case may be. But what's interesting is if you think about it, Warner Brothers has had their best year in decades. You look at Sinners, F1, Minecraft, Superman, Weapons, Final Destination, The Conjuring. Not only has Warner Brothers had a pretty historical theatrical year, they're likely about to win every Oscar with Sinners and One Battle After Another. And what's interesting is, as you know, Netflix famously not interested in putting their movies in theaters. So in theory, Superman 2 might go directly to streaming. So what would likely happen is if this deal were to go through, Warner Brothers movies would have a much shorter theatrical release, if they have one at all, before then being bumped over to Netflix. So a lot of people are looking at this and kind of having a Chicken Little the sky is falling moment and saying that it could be the end of a lot of movies doing any kind of a physical media. Netflix doesn't love putting their movies out on DVD, so you could say goodbye to those. They're really saying that it could be, if this deal goes through, pretty devastating for movie theaters and movie theater owners.
Wow. And so, as I understand it, Comcast was in the running, Paramount Skydance was in the running as well. Why do you think Netflix edged them out?
Well, what's kind of interesting is this whole thing happened because of Paramount. So they've probably got to be looking around right now going, wait, this was our idea. How did we lose this? So Paramount was interested in buying Warner Brothers. They are not too happy with Netflix coming in with the win. And one of the reasons that they say is that the merger would actually be pushing people away from theaters. They actually released a statement citing the CEO of Netflix, who has actually referred to movie theaters as an outdated concept. The deal is actually being accused of being anti-competitive, meaning that it could really eliminate any kind of market competition. But what's interesting is that I really think that, that Ellison and Paramount, they sort of floated this idea of buying Warner Brothers, thinking that they'd be able to stroll in there and gobble up the competition. And now I guarantee Ellison's looking around his studio going, wait a second. What do you mean we lost the bid? So you know what, with Ted Sarandos, the head honcho over at Netflix, he knows what he's doing. And if this happens, Netflix would own everything from Harry Potter to Friends to Batman to you name it. If it started, The Matrix, Superman, whatever the case may be. If you've ever seen a movie that started with those two letters WB, there's a good chance it could be potentially going to Netflix, in the same way you might remember, what was it, about 10 years ago when 20th Century Fox at least the movie studio and the assets were bought up by Disney. Remember, Anita, our company used to own Alien. Our company used to own Predator. Our company used to own Avatar. Now all that's owned by Disney. And, it's these major studios. Warner Brothers, one of the most historic movie studios, over a century old in the history of cinema, could now be owned by a company that no one had never even heard of 25 years ago.
So Jake, when I hear the words anti-competitive, I wonder, does this have to be cleared by the government?
Yeah, so a lot of letters are being written to the Department of Justice right now. This is by no means a done deal. Not only, have they not even come to official terms yet? Yeah, there's when you have companies this big looking to sort of become one, there are a lot of people that have to sign off on it. And right now, a lot of statements from the different unions are being released. SAG-AFTRA just released a statement. The DGA, the Directors Guild, run by iconic filmmaker, theatrical filmmaker Christopher Nolan, has released a statement saying that they want to meet with all sides before any deal is done. So you've got the government is going to get wrapped up in this. The unions are going to get wrapped up in this. So we've got some time before this gets settled, but you can't help but feel for those people in the industry who are looking at the cards on the table and going, listen, we are losing what used to be, a business of different studios and different competition, and all of the titles and the IP that is called the intellectual property being under just one roof or two roofs is not necessarily good for anybody, and especially when one of those roofs is one that's not known for being a movie theater roof. It's the idea of, hey, Superman 2's coming out, I'm going to go watch it in my living room, doesn't sit well for a lot of people. So it depends on, listen, we all digest entertainment differently these days. And I know that there are a lot of people for whom going to the theater doesn't mean anything, but it does mean something to a lot of people. It's an age-old thing that dates back to the Great Depression. And, it is at risk when one of the largest theatrical companies is being bought by a company that could not care less about the theatrical experience.
Ooh, yeah, and I see Netflix has agreed to pay a $5.8 billion reverse breakup fee if the deal is not approved. That kind of sounds like a prenup.
Yeah, you know what? Sounds just like it. And listen, how often are you on Good Day Chicago and Fox 32 News talking about Netflix rates going up? What do you think, about every 6 months or so?
Yeah.
Do you think those Netflix numbers are going to stay the same after they own Batman and after they own Harry Potter and after they own Friends? You think those rates are going to stay the same? Those numbers, when they own everything, they can charge whatever they want.
All right. Well, we'll see. You said there's some time. There's some time on this, but they do say they hope to close this in the third quarter of 2026.
Oh, I bet they do. Listen, I'm sure they. Listen, I bet they would love to close this, but there are a lot of people that have to sign off on this. And like I said, the unions are all kind of stepping in today and going, whoa, hold on a second. Especially, like I said, Christopher Nolan, a man who famously defends the theatrical experience and really is one of the final filmmakers who can still really draw people to the theaters. He's the head of the DGA now, and he's saying, listen, we're going to talk with you guys, because at the end of the day, you got to have people make the content for you. You got to have people make the movies, and so it's entirely possible that every filmmaker could say, cool, that's great, that's awesome, I'm going to go to a studio that's going to put me in a theater. You can buy Warner Brothers all you want, I'll just never direct a movie for Warner Brothers. So you got to keep the talent happy too. So they're going to be meeting with a lot of actors, a lot of directors, and so this is just the beginning of whatever process this is.
Okay, Jake Hamilton, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right, see you later.
Okay, all right. 2:43, and
Jake seems to know a thing or two about Hollywood, doesn't he?
Do you know just a little bit.
A little bit. And you know what? That was a pretty nice looking background he had there.
Oh, he always has
know?
a stellar background.
Back in the good old days when he and I would regularly appear on Good Day Chicago, after the show, a couple of folks would go over and, what else would you do at Jake's house but have movie day?
What else would you do?
But that place didn't have a view like this one. So I don't think we've made the cut, at this point. We're probably not allowed to come over.
I've seen a few pictures. A few people have been invited, but we haven't made the cut. We have not made the cut just yet. When you look out of his background, though, you see the sun shining.
Mm-hmm.
That's great to see. The sun's kind of not been our friend this week.
Not so much.
But, we can't be like, I don't know, lulled in by the sunshine into thinking that it's providing warmth.
Well, especially yesterday. We had plenty of sunshine yesterday, one little day of sunshine, and our temperatures didn't really budge out of the teens. And that's pretty typical. You get this big high pressure that comes in from the Arctic. It's cold, dry air, so the clouds are out. But you go outside and you're like, oh my goodness, my face hurts. Yeah. Why is the weather making my face hurt?
The tear coming out of your eye.
And then they freeze, right there. You have little eye icicles that come down. Yeah. So, well, fortunately, we're done with that for a while.
Okay.
Now, here's the deal. We should be about 40 degrees, believe it or not, for this part of December. 40 degrees is the normal.
Like a heat wave.
Yeah,
at this point.
And that would be normal. But that shows you how below normal we are. And we're going to stay below normal mostly for the rest of the 7-day forecast. Now, we are going to make it up into the upper 30s and mid 30s as we go into next week. But you don't see any 40s there. But here's the deal. After yesterday in the teens, 27 doesn't look so bad on Sunday, does it? 35 looks pretty good. We also have a couple of little Alberta clippers coming down. Those are the little, I don't want to call them weak systems, but they're not like the 8-inch snowstorm that we got before. They're little systems that tend to come in from Alberta, and they clip on through in a pretty rapid pace. They usually drop about 1 to 3 inches of snow for us. They're in, they're out, and then as soon as they go through, we tend to cool down. There's usually a little bit colder air in between. So we've got this series of these little prancer storms coming down from Alberta, a little light dust up. Now tonight, there is a little Alberta clipper. It's mostly across Wisconsin. I don't think we're going to see much of anything here in Chicago. If we do, it's maybe about a 20-25% chance tonight. But tomorrow, I think we see about an inch or two here in the city. Fox Valley could see maybe 3 inches, perhaps, especially as you go up towards Rockford. Again, little light, fluffy snow, kind of in, out. By Sunday morning, we see the snow ending. However, as that little Alberta clipper system pulls away, it tends to suck the air in behind it. That means winds come down the lake, and there could be some lake effect snow, especially northwest Indiana Sunday night.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're a lot of people are going to be making the journey to Lambeau this weekend. How's that drive going to be?
The game's on Sunday, so it depends on when you leave. If you leave, on Saturday during the day, which a lot of people I think are going to be doing, no problems at all. The only real problem you're going to have is if you leave late Saturday in the evening or early Sunday morning. And even then, we're only talking about a couple of inches. It's a pretty straight shot, straight up, 43 past Milwaukee. I think you're in pretty good shape. But that would be, if I was going to caution you, that would be the time frame where you would deal with snow, would be late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So, go Saturday early and enjoy the bratwurst. Right? What are you
And
gonna
get
do?
ready for a Bears win.
Yeah.
Just soak up the entire experience.
Go do a little ice fishing, for crying out loud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they do up there.
Is it?
Brats, beer, ice fishing.
And cheese.
Oh, yeah, you got to have some cheese to go on the brat.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate it. 2:47 right now, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's about 2:52 right now. Let's take a look at the big board here as it gets ready to close for the day and not too long from now. And you can see green on the screen here, edging higher, on pace for a fourth straight day of winning. That's what we like to see after a lot of turbulence over a period of time here. More green on the screen today as we take a look at it in our 2 o'clock hour. So I'm seeing that the NASDAQ composite increased 0.3% so far today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, you can see on your screen, it's up right now, but it's climbed 160 points today, or about 0.3% overall. There are a couple of different things that are going on here that I'll kind of walk you through that I'm seeing. So the Commerce Department has said that the core personal consumption expenditures price index, okay, for September was delayed due to the shutdown. And so it was an annual rate of 2.8% now that they are seeing, and that is lower than the estimate. So that's good. The core PCE, as it's maybe shortened there, to see that there. And the core PCE is what's used when the Fed chair goes to reduce possibly a rate. And that's what everyone is hoping to see come next week. So the University of Michigan's consumer survey, that's another thing that's reported here. It gives a glimpse into the sentiment of what's going on around, and it's a view on inflation over the near and longer term. It came in higher than expected for this month. So going back to the PCE, if it is a gauge for the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, maybe a primary gauge here, it's looking pretty good as of right now. And there are, as we look at it, with the expectations of that meeting to happen next week, investors are hoping that this is going to influence the central bank to lower its benchmark rate by a quarter percentage point when they make their announcement on Wednesday. It will be a big decision. We will be watching very closely because the Fed chair, the last time that we heard from him, was kind of on the fence as to whether he thought they would do another quarter percentage rate cut this year, which would come next week. So we'll see if he actually decides to do this. One other interesting note about what I'm seeing here is that during today's trading session, Netflix shares, we're seesawing. Who were we just talking to just a few moments ago? We were talking to Jake Hamilton about Netflix buying Warner Brothers here, and they said here that Netflix is seeing seesawing going on after initially seeing sizable losses early in the day following the company's announcement that it indeed struck a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery to buy its film and streaming assets for $72 billion. Netflix shares were last 2% lower, while shares of Warner Brothers Discovery jumped 5%. So some interesting things that are going on as we continue to see a green on the screen here ahead of a major announcement that we are expecting by Wednesday of next week from the Fed chair. Will he or won't he reduce the interest rate again? We shall see, but we'll be following it very closely. It's 2:55 right now. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. right, everybody, it's 3 o'clock right now, and in our final hour here on Chicago Live, we still have plenty that's lined up for you. So thank you for those of you all who have been rocking with us for a while, and thank you to anyone who has just tuned in for this last hour here. We are going to talk with the Coast Guard about their mission each and every year for so many years to make sure that kids here in our area have Christmas trees that come from the Upper Peninsula. Always look forward to that particular mission, and they're doing it once again. So as soon as we get them on the line, we're going to bring them in. We're also going to hopefully be able to bring you a live picture from Secretary Marco Rubio, who is participating in a meeting with the Peruvian Foreign Minister Hugo de Zala at the State Department. That should be happening in this hour of Chicago Live. We had a conversation that was lined up. I never say an interview because I just feel like these are conversations that we're having with people during Chicago Live. We had one lined up for yesterday that we had to move, but we're super excited to have the mayor of Plainfield, who's going to be joining us in this hour. They were just named as a boom town, you know, so it's wonderful to see that, and we've got to talk to them a little bit about how this new recognition is playing out, what got them to the top of the list, and how that sets them apart from the rest moving forward here. We're also looking forward to having the play-by-play announcer for the Indiana Hoosiers. You know there is a big game coming up this week. There's a couple of big games. We've talked a lot, of course, about the Bears and their big game against the Packers on Sunday that so many of us will be watching on Fox Chicago. But the day before, on Saturday, the Big Ten Championship, there will be tons of eyes on that as well. Indiana, Ohio, it is a high stakes game. And so we're going to bring him in, Don Fisher, to talk to us a little bit about what he expects from the game and just the anticipation that's been building around this particular game. And we have a conversation about a Star Wars lawsuit. Now, look, I know there are a lot of people who are like steeped in Star Wars, who know a lot about Star Wars, but this might open your eyes a little bit more as to a concern that many actors, actresses, production houses, and more will face moving forward into the future. When we start to see AI and different types of technology that allows companies to maybe use your name, image, and likeness well after you're gone. Do you give your consent in advance, or at some point in time, is it not okay for them to use it? We'll talk more and dig more into that lawsuit surrounding Star Wars. That's coming up. Should be around 3:30. We're hoping to have that discussion. So we'll see if we can bring that to you right around there. Already, we've been able to kind of take you through so many different things, and we've been able to have many different guests who have given us perspective on several different things. If we can, we're hoping to get Tina Nguyen in this hour. Hopefully, they are doing some taping for our sports department right now as we get ready for the big game. So we'll see if we can bring her into the discussion, on a Friday night when we've got so many games that are coming up this weekend. We hope that we'll be able to bring her into the conversation as well. We shall see. But let's take a quick break. We will set everything up, and then we'll move forward right after it. welcome back, everyone. We want to start you off with some breaking news here out of the break. We have a chopper over a fire that's taking place on the northwest side. You can see that smoke just billowing up into the air here. It's a structure fire on Foster Avenue eastbound between Cumberland Avenue and Oakview Street. That's what we know as of right now. It's very close to O'Hare, apparently. But again, this is at Foster Avenue between Cumberland Avenue and Oakview Street, where we're seeing this fire as of right now. Not quite sure as to at what point in the firefight the firefighters are in this area, but we did speak with Chicago Fire yesterday, just kind of talking about the different types of things that they see around this time of year, but then also the challenges that even they face when they're going to these firefights. If you think about the temperatures outside and, widening out that view there, you see all of the snow that's on the ground, which is really impacted at this point in time and more icy than anything. The temperature is sitting at about 29 degrees outside right now. So yes, of course, it helps that they'll have their equipment on. But at the same time, when they're spraying that ice, they have to worry about spraying the water. They have to worry about, icy conditions in the area as well. You're seeing, thicker black smoke in the back there, and then maybe a little lesser in the front. So usually when we see that thick black smoke, we're on, one side of the building, but we're seeing that thick black smoke on the other side of the building. That's where the bulk of their firefight is, where they have more flames on the side where you're seeing a darker color in terms of the smoke. And look beyond it. That's how close to O'Hare they are. You can actually see the planes in the background. You can see the runway in the background right there. So that's how close to O'Hare this is. Again, on the northwest side at Foster Avenue between Cumberland Avenue and Oakview Street. Very, very close to O'Hare there. And again, 29 degrees, so our firefighters definitely have a challenge even in spraying that water in the area. So we'll check back on that. If we get any more information on that, we will let you know what's going on there. But what's going on this weekend? A lot of great football. A lot of great football. If you don't want to be outside, you don't want to feel those temperatures outside, you can stay in, and there's going to be so much on TV, really, right on Fox Chicago. So we know that the Big Ten Championship is getting ready to take place. It is a much anticipated high-stakes game, and Don Fisher, the Indiana Hoosiers radio play-by-play man for decades, is joining me now, a Hall of Famer for a big game. Thank you so much for your time. Wonderful honor to speak with you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, so not only is it time for these big football games, but you're doing double duty because we're at the beginning stages still of basketball season. So talk about what your Saturday is going to look like.
Well, it's going to be busy to say the least. We're going to do the broadcast of the Indiana Louisville basketball game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. That will take place with our pregame show at 1:15 in the afternoon. Tip is at 2:15 or 2:18 or 2:27, depending on what television decides in that regard. And then, of course, once we get through with the basketball game, we'll have a couple hours to get over to Lucas Oil Stadium here in Indianapolis, which is about a 15-20 minute walk if you want to walk over there. And in this cold weather, I don't want to walk, so I'm going to try and get somebody to take me. But we'll have a couple of hours to get ready for the football game, which will take place at 8 o'clock. And our pregame starts at 7. So we're going to be pretty busy on Saturday without question. And I haven't done a football and a basketball game on the same day in my career. And I've been doing this for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see if the voice holds up. We'll see.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. We might have to have you back on Monday just so we can check on your voice. So I hear you, and I think this has got to be a labor of love. It's going to be laborious for sure, but it's got to be a labor of love.
It is a labor of love. I've had to answer that phone and hang up on whoever it was. I'm sorry about that. No, it is a labor of love. I've been doing play-by-play for almost 60 years now. 53 of those years have been here at Indiana. As most people know, Indiana football has really not been all that great through the years.
Yeah.
At one point, up until a few weeks ago, or actually the last 2 years, I think Indiana was the losingest football program in the Big Ten and in the country in Division One. So Kurt Signetti has come on board and he has taken over a program that was given up for dead by many people and has turned it completely around. Last year, of course, they made the college football playoff for the first time. This year, they've tied for the Big Ten championship regular season with Ohio State, the #1 team in the country, and Indiana's ranked #2 in the country right now. So this has been a renaissance for Indiana fans.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. And talk a little bit about that type of energy based on the turnaround. Because, yeah, for years, Indiana was known as a basketball school.
Right. It really was. And it was justified in that regard because Indiana had won 3 national championships. Now, that hadn't happened in the last 25, 30 years in basketball. But and right now, everybody would say, well, Indiana's a football school, at least from what Coach Signetti's been able to do. But it has been different. There's no question. And the energy that Kurt Signetti has brought to the table with our fan base has just been phenomenal. We hadn't had many sellouts at all through the years that I've been here. And yet this program is sold out. I think the last 4 games last year at home, along with almost every game this season, were all sellouts. So there's energy here like we've never seen before, certainly not in my lifetime. And without doubt, this is a football team that has a chance to not only win the Big Ten championship, but if they get and play the way that they're capable of playing, they could very easily win a national championship as well. And that would be saying something unbelievable for most people.
That would be huge. And of course, we have so many Indiana fans, even here in the city of Chicago. I co-anchor with an IU grad. So there are plenty of Hoosiers up here. So let me ask you this. Last year, if we stick with football for a moment, and I do want to talk about the basketball team as well, but if we stick with football for a moment, last year there was so much buildup for those latter games, and then people started to say, wait, they didn't really feel like that team had been tested. And then when they were tested, they showed that maybe they weren't ready for that moment. This year, do you feel like we're seeing a different team and a different moment that may test them, but with a different outcome?
There's no question they've been tested this year already through 3 ball games that most people circuit on the calendar during the regular season. The Iowa ball game at Iowa, the Penn State ball game at Penn State, and the game at Oregon. All 3 of those games were road games. Indiana won all 3 of them. We don't think there's much question that this team is ready for this big moment. Now, whether they beat Ohio State or not, we'll have to wait and see. But there's no doubt that what Kurt Signetti has done here is he's done a remarkable job of bringing his philosophy to this school and to this program, and he's proven it. I mean, that's why he says, well, I win. Google me. So all you got to know is that we have a lot of belief that this team is very capable of winning this game against Ohio State. And let's face it, Ohio State's reputation, they're a perennial powerhouse. There's no doubt about that. They're one of the best programs, not just in the country, but I'm talking about over the years. They've always been one of the best programs in the history of college football. And it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But this football team this year is different than last year's in that sense. They've been able to meet the big moments and to win those games. And I think they can do it again. But, of course, we'll find that out tomorrow night.
We shall see. It is such a huge game. And so it will be, do you think that people, maybe your other people in town are going to be doing what you're doing, like going from one game to the next?
I don't think there's any doubt about that because our basketball team, of course, is playing in the early part of the afternoon against the Louisville Cardinals, a team that's ranked 6th in the country right now. But both Indiana's basketball team and Louisville's basketball team lost this week on Wednesday night. Louisville got beat by Arkansas, which is a really great program under John Calipari now. And, of course, Indiana got beat with a roster that nobody has. You still need a program to figure out who a lot of these kids are that are playing for IU's basketball basketball team, but they were unbeaten up until Wednesday night. But they got beat on Wednesday by a Minnesota team that had a lot of injuries and some problems, and yet Indiana fell in that contest. So there's going to be a lot of question marks in regard to the basketball team, but I think there's a belief that Indiana basketball is back too, because Darren DeVries, who's the new coach, has done a remarkable job putting the roster together. And yet, even though they lost that ball game the other night, I still think people believe in the way they're playing right now, and that it's going to get better and better as these years go on.
Yeah, so much conversations about these new coaches, whether we're talking about the Bears game, on Sunday, or Signetti. And I remember watching him when he was at James Madison University, and you're right, his reputation precedes him in terms of his confidence. But when it comes to Indiana basketball, I think back to like the Bobby Knight days and how far they've come.
Yeah, well, and basketball has struggled a little bit over the last few years. There's no question. Coach Knight was a phenomenal coach, very controversial. We all know that. But at the same time, what he was able to do while he was at Indiana and winning 3 national championships, 76, 81, and 87. And of course, in 76, they went unbeaten, and they are the last college basketball team in the country that went undefeated. So nobody's done it since 76 to be an undefeated basketball team at the college level. And that's still saying something. But again, this program, Tom Crean did a great job when he came in to rebuild the program under some circumstances back in the mid 2000s, and took over and did a nice job for Indiana of getting it back to national prominence once again. But the last 8 years or so have just been really a struggle for this program. And they've had winning seasons, but they haven't made the NCAA tournament a lot of those years. And that's always been what Indiana fans expect. At least get to the NCAA tournament. If they do that, there's a modicum of people that would say, well, it was a good season. If they don't get to the NCAA tournament, they go, it's been a bad year again.
They say we need a new coach. Another new coach. Yeah. Okay, so what if, just hypotheticals here, what if that basketball game goes into like overtime? How do you stretch your athletic skills of the day?
Why did you have to bring that up, dear?
Inquiring minds want to know.
I understand. Well, hopefully the voice holds out. I think it will. I had a ball game that I did last Friday, a week ago today, that was with Purdue, our arch rival, and we played on a night game on NBC. And it took us all the way to 11:30 or so before we got off the air. By the time I got back home and got to bed, it was around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I got up at 8 o'clock the next morning and had to go to a basketball game at 11 a.m. with our pregame, and 12 noon was our tip-off. So I've already done this once, maybe with a little more time in between ball games, but I still feel like the voice will hold up and we'll be fine.
Oh, my goodness. And for those of us who are novices compared to you, how do you prepare your voice? Will you be on like a voice rest tonight?
Well, I've been doing interviews today because a lot of people think because I am old and have been here for 53 years as I use play-by-play guy, they all want to interview you because you've got a different perspective, so to speak. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I've never done anything really in prep for my voice other than I do drink green tea every morning, and I've been doing that for years with honey in it. And I'll probably have 2 or 3 bottles of that with me because I make my own green tea now. I basically boil up a two-gallon pot, and then throw honey into it, about a cup and a half of honey into it because I like the sweet taste. And I drink that all the time. So it helps, there's no doubt.
It's your own secret sauce. I see. Yeah. Don, great speaking with you today. Like I said, really an honor to be able to chat with you. I hope you do get some time to rest before you make your marathon tomorrow. We'll be thinking about you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Take care. 321. Amazing man. Amazing man. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. 3:23 right now, and 'tis the season for Christmas trees. If you want one, of course, everyone should be able to have one, right? But not everyone can access one, and so the U.S. Coast Guard makes a mission every year to try to change that for so many families here in the Chicagoland area. In fact, over 100 years ago, Christmas trees from the Upper Peninsula started going to over 1,000 families in Chicago, and for a 26th year in a row now, they are keeping that tradition alive. BM2 Grant Schmidt is joining me now with the U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate what you do on a regular basis. This is extra special. Let me ask you maybe the simplest question, and that is to tell us what a BM2 is and does.
Well, BM2, we have a whole bunch of different mission sets that we're able to do throughout the entire Coast Guard. Currently on this ship, on the Mackinac, I'm out on the buoy deck, replacing buoys in the fall and the spring. In the winter, we're out in the ice, breaking ice for all the commerce in the Great Lakes, making sure that they're all safe and they can get through and have safe passage. But it can range from search and rescue to law enforcement, aids to navigation. There's a whole mess of different jobs and different unique places that a bosun mate second class can go to.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about this particular mission, what you all do, and what it means to you.
So the Coast Guard Cutter Mackinac, it primarily has two major missions that we do. In the fall, we're out doing the aids to navigation, grabbing the old buoys, and then we're switching to our ice hulls, the winter buoys. So we're out there with all the other cutters in the Great Lakes, swapping those out. In the winter, we switch to ice breaking, and we'll be ice breaking for as long as there's ice, and that's coming up quick with the cold weather we've been having. And then once that's done, we switch back to buoys in the spring, and we keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so now you're dubbed the Christmas tree ship.
Yeah.
Tell us what exactly that entails, and what is the mission all about?
So it's all about just giving back to the community. Like you mentioned before, we take all the trees from our home port is in Sheboygan, Michigan, up north. We had a huge turnout, big help with the local community up there. Unloading all the trees, we bring them down here, have more help from down in Chicago, and we pass them out, get them out to all those families in need that really need that help during the holiday season.
Yeah. About how many families do you all get to help? I see over 1,000 families, but I mean, when you're looking at these families, how many families come out at a time? Like, is it one big gathering, or is it? Tell us the setup.
So what we've seen in the past is it can go both ways. A lot of times we have volunteers that come out and they transport them to the families that have been designated to receive the trees. But on board currently we have 1,200 Christmas trees, and we have a whole bunch of help. It's a big fun event for the crew and everyone who comes down to help out. We offload it, get it into trucks, they get it all distributed, and we'll be doing tours today and tomorrow as well for everyone else who comes down and wants to check out the ship.
Awesome. And it looks like you're on the ship right now. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm on the ship. It's a little crazy around here with all the tours and all the guests all around. So I had to try to find a relatively quiet place to try and do a video call.
Tell us where in the ship you are. Like, what's around you?
So I'm currently so I'm a part of our deck department, and this is our deck office. So we have about 12 people in our department, and we're the ones who are working the buoys, working the crane. We're anchoring, mooring up the ship, helping out on the bridge, navigate the ship so we're safe. And this is just our office space here.
How long have you been with the U.S. Coast Guard?
I'm coming up on my 9th year.
Wow. Thank you for your service. What is your favorite aspect of it, and what made you want to go into the Coast Guard?
Just all the different missions that we are a part of, all the different places you can go. You can be on a ship, you can be at a station, you can be at sectors, districts, and depending which job you choose, if you enlist, you can go everywhere. I've been fortunate enough to go all around the world, all around the U.S., and it's been absolutely wonderful.
Wonderful. Now, was the weather wonderful during this mission? What has it been like?
It's been pretty cold. We've had we're all bundled up. We have all of our gear for working out on the deck. Get some freezing rains or some snow when we're out working the buoys, but we're almost at the tail end of our buoy season, and we're making really good progress. We got a couple more buoys in the Chicago area that we're going to work once we're done here. Then we're going to be heading back up north and finishing that up before ice season.
Up to the North Pole? I'm playing. So just tell me what it means to you to be able to help out families in our area in this particular way.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. I've always wanted to be on this ship and be able to be a part of this mission, and just a wonderful humanitarian mission that we can do to try to give back to our local community in the Great Lakes and help out all the families that need it. It's awesome to be a part of.
Well, thank you so much for continuing Captain Santa's mission and what you do year-round. We so appreciate your service and sacrifice.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
You take care. Happy holidays to you. 3:30, everyone. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's 3:33 right now. Our last 30 minutes with you here on this Friday of Chicago Live. And if you are a Star Wars fan, this is your moment. This is your moment to geek out here and maybe think a little deeper. But really, this goes well beyond just one movie or one franchise to think about the types of battles or concerns that will arise within the film industry and really entertainment industry as a whole as we move forward with technology being able to do lots of new and different things. So there is now a legal battle over the digital resurrection of actor Peter Cushing in the Star Wars spin-off film Rogue One. Now, he was renowned for his portrayal of the Imperial Commander Grand Tarkin in 1977 Star Wars film there, but a resurrection now. Do you have to give consent for that? Or can the film companies do that in some other kind of way? Dahlia Saper with Saper Law is joining me now so that we can get some legal advice on how these types of things happen and what we should do about them. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you for having me. These cases are always so interesting. This particular one is actually more of a contractual dispute. The technological marvel that is the resurrection is one topic of discussion, and the other is who has the right to do it.
Yeah.
This particular case is in the UK. So while I am no expert on UK law, I can speak to the types of law, certainly broadly, that would protect an individual's right to not be depicted in future mediums, including a robot or an AI resurrection. So, again, in this particular Star Wars case, the question is, did the first, production company that this actor worked with get the rights, or is it the Disney subsidiary that gets the rights? And what's notable here is that in this particular lawsuit, they did get permission from the estate of this actor to create the resurrection, we'll call it. And it's this other company that's saying, well, it doesn't matter what the estate says, we have the rights contractually to this individual's likeness. And so then the next question is, which law applies? Are we talking about contract law? Are we talking about rights of publicity, which are, it's kind of a fancy way of saying you get to control what your image will be used in connection with commercially. And I can keep blabbing on, or
no, I mean, I think
break those down too.
I think there's so much to be said about name, image, and likeness. I mean, we hear about NIL deals all the time. So when we talk about NIL deals, a lot of the focus goes on like young people and who are still actively working on things, but not really about like what happens once you're gone.
Great question. So NIL wasn't a term that anyone really understood until recently in connection with athletes. Athletes and the laws surrounding the athletes, especially the college athletes' right to monetize their likeness, put that kind of acronym in the common parlance and common vernacular. But really the law that applies is a state-based law. We only have one federal law that relates to deep fakes and non-consensual pornography. But generally, some states have actual statutes on the books that say your image and likeness may not be used by a third party, by somebody else, without your permission for a commercial purpose. And others have the law rooted in kind of like a privacy tort. I'm trying not to be overly legal. But at its core, what the laws say, and Illinois has a right of publicity law, that says if you're selling orange juice and you find my photo online, and even if you get the copyright and the permission to use the photo of me, you have to separately get my permission to then go and slap my face on the orange juice label. And what's happening now is technology is making it easy to not only grab an image and slap it on a product without permission, but to even create an entire avatar, an entire robot or human that looks so real, and use it to sell whatever it is the product is selling. So if you are anyone of note, or even if you contract with something that might involve your likeness, in this case, in the Star Wars case, it was an actor, then really you have to look very carefully at the fine print of the contract that you're signing to determine who does have the rights to your persona separate from the film or the commercial or whatever the creative thing is that is created. And then your question was, what happens when you die? And the answer to that is it depends where you die. It depends where you were a resident, where you lived at the time of your death, because some states recognize a right of publicity for that is descendable to, that you can bequeath to your heirs, and others, it's a right that dies with you. So some states might say your heirs get the right to monetize your image for 50 years or up to 100. Whereas some will say, once you're dead, it's fair game and anyone can use that person's image as they deem fit.
Oh my, I mean, my jaw kind of dropped when you said that. Like, wow, there are just so many new types of things that we have to consider. I mean, and that's life, as we evolve as a nation, and it's just a part of the things that we have to consider. And of course, most of us wouldn't think like we need to get something like this, but it seems like these are the types of nightmares that many people in Hollywood had when they started to have their protest over what to do about things like AI and things that could take, again, your image into a time frame when you're no longer here.
Yes, and so there's concern that AI is replacing the need for actors, it's replacing the need for creatives, and there's a lot of lobbying around creating laws that might force you to watermark or designate AI usage, to make it explicitly illegal to use AI to create what's called a deep fake, and or to, again, or traditional laws would still apply. So you don't necessarily need an AI specific law that says you can't use my face to sell orange juice. That law exists. The fact that they're using a fancy technology to replicate the image versus right-clicking on Google and taking the photo and printing it and putting it on your product is less important.
Yeah. And as we look at this, I guess there will be more and more questions about this stuff moving forward.
It's an evolving area of law, as is always the case. But I will say in the entertainment law context, our contracts, and I've been practicing for over 20 years, our contracts even 20 years ago had a little phrase that said, you grant us the right to use whatever the creative work might be, this work in any media now known or hereafter devised, which underscores the importance of, we don't know what the next greatest technological thing might be or the way we might be disseminating the content that we're creating. And so contractually, we're saying, you give us the right to use it now and forever, no matter what the medium it is that we are using.
Yeah, you said it that way, and on my half of things, I'm like, underscores the need for a contract attorney.
Yes, so definitely, if you're getting photographed for any sort of purpose, it's a good idea to have an attorney that practices entertainment law, that understands technology, to review that contract to ensure your rights are protected as you advance in your career.
And I guess the same thing would be for the music industry and maybe even in the film industry when it comes to your voice.
Yeah, so there's lawsuits involving exactly that. Is it copyright infringement if you ask ChatGPT to create a song that sounds like Drake's? And we are closely monitoring a series of lawsuits brought by authors, comedians, filmmakers, all in the different creative industries, stating that, look, AI shouldn't be able to take my work, train on it, and then output a derivative or something that sounds very close. And each of those cases are considered on a fact case-by-case basis based on the facts of those underlying cases. But the short answer is it's absolutely a developing area of law, and I think the industry will have to adapt to accommodate the usage of AI in creating content, because we're beyond the point of saying you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you think, just having kind of looked at this in a short period of time, do you think that this Star Wars lawsuit would be valid in the U.S.?
Again, it's not that sexy of a lawsuit, because it's not really about the type of technology that was used. It's just really who gets to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this case would really depend on the fine print and whether there was an explicit written agreement between the actor and whoever, whichever studio, that prohibited Disney from then later on creating this new version of the deceased actor.
Yeah. Just in my mind, I'm thinking too about like the companies that like now produce these hologram concerts of different artists. Is that a part of the conversation as well? Is I always get a little iffy about that. You know, like I love Whitney Houston. She is my all-time great.
Yes.
But there's just something about like, do I want to go to a hologram Whitney Houston concert? That just there's a lot there.
Does it feel odd? Well, look, the producers of that show would absolutely have to get permission from the estate if Whitney Houston died in a state that recognizes those rights after the death of the artist, of the individual.
So much to consider, and again, we're past the point of no return at this point in time. So it's just about kind of figuring things out from here. Thank you so much for your time on this Friday. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me back. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Take care. It's about 3:45, everybody. Let's take a quick break. All right, welcome back, everyone. Sky Fox has really been busy this afternoon. Of course, we were at a fire on the northwest side a short time ago, and now they've moved on to a train derailment. As we're kind of zooming out here, you can see it's still an active scene. This is a 99 Marquette, where they have a reported freight train derailment in this area here. We know this is a residential area as you kind of look around. You can see a parking lot over there, and it looks, as we're zooming around, that maybe there are some homes in this area as well. As we're working to get more information, oh, look, right, you can see right in the middle of the screen the derailment, the actual piece of the train that's gone off to the other side. Now, we don't have any information about any type of injuries that were a result of this, but you can see the first responders that are there on the scene right now. You can see an ambulance. You can also see some EMS, some other EMS units that are there as well. But again, working to get more information as to exactly what caused this freight train derailment there again. One more time, just so you know where this is. This is Marquette, where we're seeing this 99 Marquette, where we're seeing this freight train derailment. And you can see first responders on both sides there. You see an ambulance on one side to your right. There's the fire department on your left. Obviously, no activity in this area in terms of anything moving as a result of the train derailment that's taken place here, 99 Marquette. But when we get more information, we will let you know if we're still here within the time frame of Chicago Live. We only have about 10 more minutes with you. And if we've moved on, they will have it first at 4 as soon as we have more information about what's going on here with the 99 Marquette. Hopefully, everyone is okay. You see a lot of looks like some apartment buildings that are in that area as well. So again, as we mentioned, and there are the homes on this side. So residential area where they have had a freight train derailment, waiting to find out more information about what's taken place there. It's 3:50 though. We're going to take a quick break before we end things out. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're almost out of time here, but I did want to just let you know we were watching that developing situation there at 99th, south of 99th, the freight train derailment that took place there in Marquette, south of 99th. We know one ambulance was called for a crew member, it appears to be, there at the scene, but we don't have any other information as to what is taking place there. So hopefully they will have that first at 4 coming up right after Chicago Live here. Also, one of the big stories that has happened just in the last 30 minutes or so, the Supreme Court has agreed now to take up and hear an expedited appeal of President Donald Trump's case seeking to end birthright citizenship by executive order. So that is setting us up for a major decision to come next week. We'll be watching it closely here on Chicago Live and beyond. Have a great weekend.